Is Spy Family any good? Or Spy X Family? I've read both the manga and the watched the anime, like fully caught up on both of them. So I'll be giving like a bit of like my explanation for the show, why I like it, why I don't like it. Then I'll be going a bit into spoilers onto what actually happens in the show, and then I'll like go a bit into like what I really want to see moving on. Hopefully this video doesn't drag on too long, but I can't really promise anything. The show is pretty good. The show is actually a really fun watch. I wasn't really expecting to enjoy this type of genre of anime, just because like its humor can be a bit more childish, and like its style isn't as serious as an Oshinoko, or well, Oshinoko also has its like unserious moments, but more like Attack on Titan or something like that. Like I really like that type of seriousness and like that brutal, like more adult level animation. This show is a bit more fun, like something that you could watch with the family, something that like is just entertaining to see. Everything that happens. For me personally, in this show, my favorite character is Yor, Forger, but Briar originally. I believe that she's like the most fun character in the show. I know that like I've heard like arguments for everyone. For me, basically it's the Briar family. Yuri, I find him to be hilarious, how unhinged he is, and how he always just tries to pick a fight with Lloyd. If you haven't seen the show, the basic premise of it is there's a spy, Twilight, that he's tasked with. I don't recall if it's assassinating this dude, or just like kind of like getting close to him and talking to him and being like, "Yo, let's not have any more wars." I'm not exactly sure which one of the two it is, but whichever one of the two it is, it's gonna cause drama anyway. And so where the show is right now, I'm not going into spoilers just yet, but where the show is right now, at sometimes I'm like, whoa, it's moving a bit, it's moving quicker than the reading of it. I read the entire manga relatively quickly, but when I was reading it, like I was like, oh, like it's moving like pretty quickly between stuff. And I feel like the show in 3 seasons, it hasn't exactly gotten to where I expected that it would, but that's not a bad thing. That is not inherently a bad thing. It is just like me just wondering how many seasons would they be able to keep going with this sort of pace. One of the things that I'm thinking about is like there is quite a bit of filler content, which I'm not the biggest fan of filler content, but in this type of show, and then in this type of like situation, I think it's good because it just shows how unhinged some things are. And the concept is one that like you could have written it to be a very serious, okay, this spy has to be like underground, find a fake family, and like infiltrate. Or you could like do it the way that they did it, which I really appreciate how they do it, because like it's like, okay, it's gonna be super unhinged there. And I'm gonna be getting into spoilers now, although like if you've seen any like thing about the concept of the show, you've probably seen more. But I do want to just preface, like this is something that you should probably at least watch the first few episodes, see if you like. I do believe that it's for a bit more of a general audience, but it's something that might be a bit more enjoyed for people that like more of the like comedic form of anime rather than the serious one. So that's kind of like where I'll like draw the line. But for example, like I said before, Yuri, Lloyd, and Yor, like the relationship between the three is freaking hilarious. So Yor, she's the older sister of Yuri, and then Lloyd is Yor's fake husband. The reason why they get married is for mutual benefit. Lloyd needs to get Anya into this school of the elite, and they need to be part of a family. Again, spoiler alert, Anya isn't really his child, but you see that in the first episode, so if don't come at me. Anya isn't really his child. She's a girl that he picked up at like the orphanage, and she has the power to read minds. And so what makes this relationship super interesting between Lloyd, Yuri, and Yor is the fact that Yor's an assassin, and so she's already like super like complicated of a character, but she's like super innocent too. For someone that like tears people limb from limb and like it just is absolutely horrible. In terms of her line of work, she's like super cute and super fun and super great. Like it's like the complete opposite of what you would expect. And then Lloyd, he tries to be like this like super serious dad, but he realizes he can't be super serious, and so he tries to mold his like parenting style a bit more. But Yuri, being a secret police, his like basically like his obsession is to find and capture Twilight, which funnily enough is Lloyd. Lloyd is like the alias that Twilight uses throughout like the entire show, and so it's just a super interesting like triangle because Yuri basically I don't know exactly what the hell is going on, but it is like a type of like he loves Yor in a very specific way, and so it's a very interesting concept. It's super interesting to see how it all like unfolds, and like the bickering between Lloyd and Yuri, and then Yor trying to get in the middle to help them, but then Yuri immediately like turns onto her and like, oh, why the hell are you married to this idiot? And he's like a super great husband. So it's always just like comedic and funny moments, and so like I really appreciate that part of the show. One thing that like for me like sometimes it can be a bit long and dragged out are like the moments at school, but I understand that that's like basically the concept of the show. I just get super entertained by Yuri, Lloyd, and Yor. Like to me, that is the focal point of the show. But to some people, it's more like Anya and her like trying to get close to Damien, and like trying to help her dad complete his mission. And so like you can see it from both ways, and like honestly like I can see it, but for me it's always just like I want Yuri to just be in the middle of that and just like seeing where it goes. Like it's always fun to watch. But yeah, so super entertaining show. I honestly like don't find too many dull moments in it. It's just like I basically binge watched it in like an entire week. I watched like the entire show. It's super fun, and then like it does have its serious moments. For example, like the start of season 3, I think, when they go into Twilight's like history, that I found to be super interesting because like not only is like the show like really like it's more of a comedy, but it does like try to tie down these serious moments about like anti-war and stuff like that. So I always think that that's like a great message. Like it's not good for either side, and there's going to be lies from both sides, and no matter what, people don't exactly know what they're fighting for because like it's all what they've been fed. And so I find it to be a super interesting concept, and the fact that like a comedic show like that like does like kind of like take its time to get down into the weeds of like what war is and how atrocious it is. I think it's a great concept. To go on to the next part of like this review, I'm then going to talk about the content that hasn't been shown in the anime. So if you're plainly just watching the anime, not reading the manga, which is a bit weird because usually like there is quite a bit of latency between the two, like whenever one comes out and then the other. But if you haven't seen if you haven't read the rest of the manga and you want to wait for the anime, then definitely wait. But to me, the most interesting part right now is and I want to talk a bit more speculative. The manga hasn't ended. It is still going, still every 2 weeks, and like a new chapter is being published. So it's still going. I just want to see like I like kind of like put it down into like writing, I guess you'd say, but like into a video recording of my predictions for what's going to happen. So from the manga, we already know that Desmond, like the previous prime minister, Desmond, he can read minds, and we don't know how long he's had this ability, but I'm willing to bet that he already had this ability by the time that Twilight was able to interact with him directly. And that being said, Twilight was thinking, okay, I'm a spy. I need to like what this and that. Like he was analyzing his interaction between him and the former prime minister, and so doing that, I think that like obviously that's going to cause some turmoil, especially now that like the neighbor, the old neighbor, has figured out that Anya was one of the test subjects that presumably was to give the Desmond like the powers to read minds, and so now that we know that, I think that what's gonna end up happening, and what I find to be like probably what's gonna be the most interesting part of the show, is always the hero's dilemma. I don't know when this is gonna happen, but at some point, it's either gonna come out that that Anya was a test subject and that she can read minds, or they're gonna try to do something to expose Lloyd as Twilight, like say like, oh, the prime minister like gathered this evidence against Lloyd, and so once Yor finds out, because if again, spoiler warning, Yor has now gotten feelings for Lloyd, and it still hasn't been fully fleshed out. Like, does Lloyd have feelings for Yor as well? But from what I can tell, I think that he does, because he hesitated to kill Yuri. Well, he didn't kill Yuri, but he hesitated, and so he got shot. And so like it shows that he's starting to care more about her and more about his fake family than even his safety at some points. And that's not something that like him as a spy was trained to do, or him as a spy even does. And I think that the reason why, like, and he shows that he cares more about like his family than the mission at points, and like he just uses the mission as a facade for like what he really wants. And I think what's going to end up happening is he's going to get exposed and Anya's going to get exposed. I think Your secret is like basically like the least harmful of all of them, because basically like the reason why she's an assassin is to keep the I guess the world clean and stuff like that. And so Twilight, yeah, like there might be like a bit of a scuffle between them two, but at the end of the day, I don't think that her side is going to be that bad, even whenever Yuri finds out, because I do believe that Yuri's going to find out that she's an assassin. But once Yuri finds out that Lloyd is Twilight, it'll cause Yor to get in for me, like where I would write this at some point eventually, it would be for Yuri to get confronted by Yor. Obviously, Yuri probably trying to arrest Lloyd and either having like a big fight with him, and then Yor standing in to defend Lloyd because she's in love with him. And so I think that that's what's going to end up happening at some point, where then Yuri's going to feel like super betrayed and not understand what happened with Yor. But then, like, obviously, as like the audience, we're going to root for Yor and Lloyd. But I think that that's going to be like the big pivotal moment of the show. And at the same time, I think that the government is going to try to take away Anya, just because like, one, her ability is way too overpowered, her being able to read the minds of people, and two, I think that like she's like a loose end to to Desmond's power, and so they're gonna try to get rid of that loose end, and also like I think that while they try to get rid of that loose end, they're gonna try to like put the blame on Lloyd, and like not put the blame on Lloyd, but put some like shade on Lloyd. So now Lloyd has to choose whether or not he protects Anya or he protects himself and his secret. And even if he can't protect the secret, now he has to protect his own life. And so I think that that's kind of like where the show's going to go. Like maybe in like the next 2-3 seasons, it's going to become a lot more of a serious take once these like parts start to get fleshed out. First, I think that they're going to go and show Lloyd's feeling, like probably again, like how Yor's feelings got shown, like through like her not saying anything, but her mind being able to be read, that now she has feelings for Lloyd. I think that it's going to be like pretty similar for Lloyd. Like Anya's going to read his mind, and so the audience is now going to know, okay, Lloyd has feelings for Yor has feelings for Lloyd, and before like they can actually like get to the like to doing too much about it, there's going to be that big moment that draws them apart from each other, which is probably going to be Lloyd being outed as Twilight. And so now he has like the decision to make, whether or not he wants to protect his family, or if he wants to go and like hide as a spy and like completely disappear again. I think that that's where the show is going to go. And what I think is going to happen from there is I think that Lloyd is going to decide to fight with the family. And like I do believe that the show is going to have a good ending. Like overall, I think that like it's going to be like a positive ending for, since it's more of a comedy. I think it's going to be good for our protagonists. However long they're going to make it, I have no clue. Just since like they're already on season 3. I think that they have enough content for 4 or even 5 so far, and they're still making more. And I don't see how they can like do everything that I just said, or even if they don't go exactly how I said everything is going to happen, they might do more because they've also like fleshed out a lot more characters than they could. But again, like I'm fairly new to the anime genre, so I don't know exactly like what the like lifespan is of certain shows and stuff like that. But to my knowledge of shows, once you start to get to like the 5th, 6th, 7th season, I don't know how much that is in chapters, it can start to feel a bit redundant and a bit like done to death. I know there are some exceptions to that rule, being like One Piece has gone on forever, or being like so many shows people would probably want to see more seasons, probably want them to get renewed. But the fact that like shows end also make it good, because if you overdraw it out, then the audience will never find a satisfying conclusion with it. A great example for me is How I Met Your Mother. Although a lot of people dunk on the conclusion of How I Met Your Mother, because it is a bit of a weird thing doing like the last 48 hours to the wedding into like an entire season. It is a bit of a weird concept, but my point stands. You're doing an entire like the longer you go, the more difficult it is to round out these characters. I was talking to one of my friends here recently about this. The longer you go, the harder it will be to end a show. The best you can do for me, and I know I glaze Attack on Titan a lot, but Attack on Titan had the perfect ending for me. 5 seasons, you got to know the characters. No character was safe. The ones who are, no, I think it was 4 seasons, but the 4th one was extended. You could move around episodes, make a 5th. But so basically what that show does, it ends all the characters out in a good way. The longer you go, the more characters you introduce, you start branching out, and so it's a lot more difficult to end a show in a satisfying way that won't get the fandom mad. And so that's essentially my idea, is just like I would give this show double what it's gone, just so it has enough time to start closing, like to close stuff out, but it has to start closing stuff out soon. If not, you start to get into the dangerous territory of a season 7, 8, 9, 10, to where the show just starts to become too redundant, and then people like will lose interest to watch it, or between times there will be too long of like a wait to watch the show, and so people will start to lose interest. It happens. I'm not saying that will happen to this show, because I really enjoy it, and I think that it's more of a popcorn watch than like a serious like, oh my god, I gotta like lock in and like see what's happening. I think it's more of a funny show, so like it could be going on for longer and longer. But I do think that eventually the authors are going to make that switch to a bit more serious and start to round out those characters. Whether or not Lloyd dies, whether or not Yor dies, whether or not Anya gets taken away and they never see her again, that's all going to be like up to the author, obviously. But I think wherever that goes, it should start rounding it out fairly soon, because if it doesn't, then it's gonna like, and again, I have no idea how the anime genre works. That's just like my experience through watching TV. The Flash is a great example, but the writing became shit after a while. Arrow was really similar. People were like really interested in up until a certain point. Like people lose focus, and so I definitely think that like it can happen, but that's like my point. I just think that not the earlier, but like the better you can end something, it's better than like keeping it going until like you just like run out of money essentially. But the show is really good. I really recommend you watch it. It is a hell of a watch and super interesting. So if you haven't already, go watch it. Here in Japan, it's on Netflix, but over in the US, it should be on Crunchyroll, which is banned here. Well, not banned here in Japan, but it just, you can't use it here in Japan. And so I just constantly have to be like putting in like the email, like, are you traveling? Fucking Netflix is stupid. But that's fine. I'm watching stuff. I'm trying my best to come out with more reviews, but it is so difficult because I don't have time. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you all in the next one. Enjoy.